Hi, I'm Trish. This is the first video I'm making on my new phone, so I'm hoping that this phone takes okay video. I haven't really been 100% happy with the photos it takes in low light, but we'll see how it goes. This might be a shit quality video. I went and had my clinic appointment today at the bariatric clinic, post having the pH monitoring and oesophageal manometry done. I got the results of those. Oh, got a big pimple on my knee. I've got the esophageal manometry was mostly normal. He said there was a little bit of a break in it. Not 100% sure what that means, but for all intents and purposes it's okay, which in a nutshell means that my lap band didn't do me any permanent damage to my esophagus with regards to dilation. Oh, just writing myself another note in my gigantic writing so I don't have to keep putting my glasses on. The pH monitoring, it was within normal limits. So if you have events happening where your pH level drops below 4 up to where the little probe goes down into your esophagus for more than 4% of the time, then they consider that you've got a problem with reflux. Mine, I think, was only about 2%. I can't remember. So it's normal. And I did question that because I am waking up in the middle of the night, sort of, not really choking, but I have episodes where I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't breathe. And I'm pretty sure that is irritation to my larynx. I thought it was the reflux, but he seems to think it's not, and he mentioned something called salivary reflux, which no one has ever said to me. In the 17 years that I have been waking up unable to breathe in the middle of the night, no one has said those two words to me. So I've got to do some further investigation. I did a quick Google search before I started the video, but I couldn't see anything. You're going to have to excuse me. I'm sweating like a beast. I'm trying to be a lady. So I've got to still do some more research on the salivary reflux. I did a quick Google search and nothing came up, but I'll delve into that further, and I'll have some news for you next time I make a video. Also, he said that I have a small sliding hiatal hernia. Now, I had a gastroscopy done many years ago, and they saw it then, right? And ever since then, I've been saying to doctors, you know, what about that hernia? And they're all like, no, there's no hernia, you're fine. You know, if we saw a hernia there, we would have fixed it when we did your lap band and blah, blah, blah. And so then he mentions to me that I might be getting this reflux because of the hiatal hernia I have. And I said to him, well, yes, I have been aware of that, but everyone's been denying it since that first ever gastroscopy I had. And he said, no, but I can see it. And I said, what do you mean? And he spun his computer screen around and he showed me the pictures from my last gastroscopy. I don't know what I'm looking at. But he said, yeah, there's definitely a hernia there, and I'll fix it for you, and that should fix the problems with the reflux. And so I was like, if this is something that could have been fixed 17 years ago and not had me fearing for my life every time I go to sleep, but as long as it's going to be fixed now. Normally, I think when they fix a hiatal hernia, and I should mention, a hiatal hernia is where you've got your diaphragm that goes across your bottom of your chest that separates all your chest organs from your abdominal organs, and your esophagus goes through that into your stomach, and you get a hernia when part of your stomach herniates up above the diaphragm. So that's what happens to me. Mine is only small, and it's sometimes there, sometimes not, hence sliding hernia. So normally to fix that, I think they do what's called a Nissen fundoplication. You can Google that, I'm not going to go into that, but essentially, because I'm going to be sleeved, there's not going to be enough stomach there to do the wrapping around that is involved when they do a Nissen fundoplication. So what they're going to do is they're going to put some permanent sutures in to fix the weakness in my diaphragm. They're going to fix that defect with some, they're just going to like run it in, I guess, and make it a little bit tighter around my esophagus so that my stomach can't herniate up into my diaphragm. Hopefully that should fix it. There was a bit of a spoiler there. I'm being sleeved, not bypassed, because the results of my pH monitoring and esophageal manometry were all okay. So I will be sleeved. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. It's a less risky procedure than bypass, and I know if the sleeve doesn't work, like if I do get reflux, if fixing the hernia doesn't fix the reflux and I get really bad reflux, then they can bypass me. I've got that backup. So they're hoping to have that done by the end of February, because I had my lap band removed, and I'm sorry, I can feel the sweat on my face. You're just going to have to deal with it. I had my lap band out on the 29th of August, and they like to try to get the revisions done after about 6 months, because they like to let everything heal after having the lap band removed, because there is a lot of scar tissue. So that will put me at around about the end of February. So that's only 3.5 months from now. That's probably only another 10 kilos for me. But I'm going to really try to keep a lid on the weight gain. But as I said to him, trying to lose weight now without any kind of weight loss surgery tool is like trying to drive a car without the wheels. It's just not happening. So that's not too bad. I was just dreading that they'd say, like 6 months from now, or 9 months, or 12 months from now, but it won't be. So that's pretty good, and it's a public system, so I'm pretty happy with that. He will be able to do it keyhole, even though I have had a lot of prior abdominal surgery. He said he'll still be able to do it keyhole. That's a big relief. Otherwise, it would have been a much bigger incision and a much bigger recovery, a lot more pain and everything. And I will be in hospital for 2 nights. And he said because he's got to fix the hernia, it does make the surgery a little bit more complicated, a bit longer, and I will have a bit more pain. He said, like, when I take a deep breath, because, your diaphragm draws down and makes your lungs fill up with air, he said, I will have a bit of, like, stitch-type pain initially, but not permanently, just because of the nature of fixing that hernia. I'm fine with that. I expect to be in some pain. That doesn't bother me. They can use, I don't know if you know anything about sleeving, but when they do a sleeve, they put like this long tube thing down inside your stomach, and they staple the outside of your stomach. They use it like as a guide, and they staple the outside of your stomach, and then, as they're stapling it, look it up on YouTube on an actual surgery video. It's absolutely fascinating. They staple it, and as they staple it, it removes that part of the stomach, and there's different sizes they can use. They go all the way from a size 30 up to a size 54, from what I can see. He said as a standard thing there, they use a size 36. So that's on the smaller end of things. Now, just to give you an idea, I did look up some sizes. This is your good old-fashioned paper mate kilometrico. That's around about a size 30. This one, I can't see what it is, but it's a little bit bigger. That's around about a size 34. And this one is around about a size 38. So my bougie will be somewhere between those two. And he said that the size of the bougie doesn't really make that much difference to like the capacity of your stomach and how successful you'll be. But the quick little bit of reading I've done is that the larger the bougie, the less weight you lose, but they're talking about size 50, and the more likely you are to have a leak at the staple line where the lap band has been removed. He said if I do have a leak, it will be there, and it will either be immediate or a few weeks down the track if it happens to me. He said people going in for a sleeve without having any prior weight loss surgery have a 2% risk of having a leak. Because I have already had previous surgery, I have a 5 to 7% chance of that complication. But as I said to him, the chance of me having complications if I continue to gain weight and all the comorbidities associated with obesity are, it makes that small risk worthwhile for me. So that was it. That was it about the surgery. Now I will have to speak to the dietitian about the 2 weeks, because I've got to do a couple of weeks of pre-op well, they say Optifast, but I can't do Optifast anymore. It just doesn't agree with me. It runs right through me, and that's really disappointing for me because Optifast is really nice and easy. I like the taste of it. I like the routine of it. But it's the last time I did it, I was so sick. It was just going straight through me. So what I was getting just about no nutrition. So I will speak to the dietitian probably in January sometime, and get a like a pre-up diet from her that doesn't involve Optifast. So I imagine it'll still be my minimum 2 cups of non-starchy veggies per day, and then I will have to like effectively make up my own fat protein meals. But I just need to speak to the dietitian there to confirm exactly what proteins I can have. I'm thinking probably chicken, fish and eggs, and I'll also need to add a little bit of fat in because there is fat in Optifast, and there is a lot of carbs in Optifast, so much carbs. So if she wants me to match the carbs in Optifast through like eating whole foods, I'm just going to ask her, can I do that with fruit? Because I'm not going to be adding, I am absolutely 1,000,000% not going to add sugar to any food that I eat. Absolutely 1,000,000% no. So hopefully I'll be able to add those carbs in with fruit. I'm pretty sure I won't be allowed any dairy, but although there's like milk powder in Optifast, maybe because I'm not having Optifast, I will be able to have a bit of dairy in the form of, I don't know, maybe like skim milk or low-fat yogurt or something. But I'll need to go over all that with the dietitian. I'm sure she'll be able to give me a meal plan, or at the very least just tell me how many grams of protein and fat and carbs and from what sources, and then I'm clever enough that I can make up my own meal plan with foods that I like. So I think that was, and I spoke to him about multivitamins. He said that I would definitely 1,000,000% need multivitamins after being sleeved, and that's another thing. Definitely 1,000,000% need a good multivitamin after being sleeved. And I said to him that I take Baroccas every day, and he said that I will need something more than that. And I questioned it because all those years ago when I initially got lap banded, the dietitian told me that I needed to take Centrum, a Centrum multivitamin. So I went away, and because Centrum they're really expensive, and I looked at the ingredients on the Centrum and how much of each vitamin was in those ingredients, and I compared it to Baroccas, and it's exactly the same. Or there was one thing that was a tiny fraction different that doesn't really make much difference. So, I can't even remember how much Centrum are, but they're just ridiculously expensive. And I don't even buy the Barocca brand. I get the Woolies Select Baroccas, and it costs me $5 for a 2-week supply. But he mentioned another multivitamin called BN, and I very quickly looked them up online, and I only looked at one price, but they're like $35 a month, and my Baroccas are only costing me $10 a month. So I'm going to have to investigate exactly how much of all the vitamins are in those BN vitamins, and either just take double Barocca or I don't know, find them cheaper somewhere else, or just look around everywhere and try to hit the vitamin requirements with a different brand of something. I don't know, but I will work it out. And the last thing was I asked him, he was looking at and asking me about how much weight I lost with the lap band, and I told him, and I said to him, is it reasonable to expect that I could get down to between 80 and 85 kilos? I'm about 110 today because I have gained a shit ton of weight. And he said, like, without even hesitating, that it was perfectly reasonable to expect that I could get down to between 80 and 85 kilos because he could see from my previous weight loss with the lap band that I am a highly motivated patient. So that's heartening to know. So it'll all be happening probably by the end of February. I did tell the girl that my birthday is in mid-February, and if she wanted to do the surgery, book me in for the surgery on my birthday, I don't care. I'll do it. I don't care. I just want to get it done. None of my clothes fit me. I feel so fat and just I feel like a big jelly blob. I feel a bit yucky. I look fine. I look great. My butt is to die for at the moment. It's just this great big bubble butt. But I'm not liking how I'm feeling. I'm feeling very sluggish. Although my iron has gone back down. It's gone back down to about 33. Plus I just had a monstrous period after having an endometrial ablation. So I've also got to see the gynaecologist and probably have a bloody hysterectomy. But yeah, my iron has dropped quite low, and that tends to make me feel very sluggish, and I get very out of breath very easily, and palpitations, and just feel shit. So that's probably I'm probably feeling a bit sluggish, partly because I've gained so much weight, but probably more because my iron is really low. So I'm taking a very high dose iron tablet at the moment, which of course isn't agreeing with me, but they won't give me an iron infusion. So I don't know what I'm going to do. That's a whole other story for another day. I might go into that after my gynaecologist appointment later in the week. And that's all. That's all. I probably won't update until I get a date for my sleeve. Or actually, when I hear from the dietitian, I'll let everyone know what my special eating plan is going to be for those 2 weeks prior. That's all.